I never believed in curses. Not until I visited the remote village of Black Hollow. It was supposed to be a simple research trip, a chance to document the folklore and traditions of a community untouched by modern life. But what I found there was far darker than I could have imagined. This is the story of the curse that has haunted Black Hollow for centuries, and how I barely escaped with my life. The village was nestled deep in the forest, accessible only by a narrow, winding road that seemed to go on forever. The first thing I noticed was the silence. No bird sang, no leaves rustled in the wind. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath. The villagers were wary of outsiders. They watched me from the shadows, their eyes filled with suspicion. But one man, an elderly farmer named Elias, agreed to speak with me. He invited me into his home, a small, weathered cabin on the edge of the village. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his voice low and gravelly. "Not during the red moon." "The red moon?" I asked, intrigued. Elias hesitated, then gestured for me to sit. "Every 50 years, the moon turns red. It's a sign, a warning. When the red moon rises, the curse awakens." According to Elias, the curse began over 2 centuries ago, when a group of settlers founded the village. They had stolen the land from the indigenous people, slaughtering them without mercy. Before the last chief died, he placed a curse on the settlers, vowing that their descendants would suffer for their sins. "The red moon is a reminder," Elias explained. "A reminder of the blood that was spilled. And when it rises, the spirits return to claim what's theirs." I listened with a mix of fascination and skepticism. It was a compelling story, but I didn't believe in curses or vengeful spirits. Still, there was something about the way Elias spoke, the fear in his eyes, the tremor in his voice, that sent a chill down my spine. That night, I saw it for myself. The moon rose over the treetops, its usual silver glow replaced by a deep, blood-red hue. The village was eerily quiet, the streets deserted. Even the animals seemed to sense that something was wrong. I was staying in a small guest house near the center of the village. As I prepared for bed, I heard it, a low, mournful wail that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I told myself it was the wind, but the sound was too deliberate, too human. Then, the screams began. I rushed to the window and looked out into the street. What I saw will haunt me for the rest of my life. Shadows moved through the village, their forms flickering and indistinct. They weren't human, not anymore. Their eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and their mouths were twisted into grotesque smiles. The villagers had locked themselves in their homes, but it didn't matter. The spirits passed through walls and doors as if they weren't there. I watched in horror as they dragged a man from his house, his screams echoing through the night. He struggled, but it was no use. The spirits surrounded him, their forms merging into a swirling mass of darkness. When they dispersed, he was gone. I backed away from the window, my heart pounding. I had to get out of there. But as I turned, I saw it, a spirit standing in the corner of the room. Its eyes locked onto mine, and I felt a cold, suffocating presence wrap around me. "You don't belong here," it whispered, its voice a chorus of agony and rage. I stumbled backward, my mind racing. I remembered Elias's words, "The red moon is a reminder." A reminder of the blood that was spilled. "I'm not one of them," I shouted, my voice trembling. "I didn't do this." The spirit hesitated, its form flickering. For a moment, I thought it might let me go. But then it lunged, its claws reaching for my throat. I don't know how I made it out of the village. I remember running, the screams of the villagers ringing in my ears. The forest was a blur of shadows and moonlight, and I tripped more times than I can count. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. When I finally reached my car, I didn't look back. I drove through the night, the red moon hanging heavy in the sky. It wasn't until I reached the safety of the city that I allowed myself to breathe. I never returned to Black Hollow. I tried to tell people what I had seen, but no one believed me. The village was declared abandoned, its inhabitants presumed dead. But I know the truth. The curse is real, and the spirits are still there, waiting for the next red moon. Every 50 years, I feel it, a pull, a whisper in the back of my mind. The red moon is coming again, and the spirits are growing restless. I don't know how much longer I can resist. But one thing is certain, the curse of Black Hollow will never die.